With that, good morning and thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Council Members Buscaino and Council Member Englander. It was a pleasure working during Christmas time and the holiday season, working with you from Boston, where I was having my vacation time. But it was great. It was a great opportunity to communicate and really tackle this huge challenge that we have in front of us. So thank you very much for your understanding, your patience, and your support. Thank you, and good morning to all of you council members. Nazario Salceda, Director of the Bureau of Street Services. We have a PowerPoint presentation ready for you, and it's comprised of about 20 slides. So I'll try to go over this presentation as quickly as possible, but I'm going to take some time to emphasize some of the relevant aspects of our street network. The first one, of course, is that LA, our city, has the largest and most congested municipal street system in the nation. How big is it? It's comprised of approximately 28,000 lane miles of streets. Well, Nazario, 28,000 lane miles, what does that mean? Well, 28,000 lane miles of streets are equivalent to a 10-lane freeway between the cities of New York and the city of LA. It is equivalent to a 2-lane highway between the city of LA and the city of Paris, France. The equatorial circumference of our planet has 25,000 miles. So with our street network, we can go around planet Earth 1.12 times. That is the magnitude of our street network. And that is perhaps the biggest challenge that we have, that its size is extremely, extremely big. But the street system was not always that big. In the 1950s, we saw the what we call today the San Fernando Valley expanding in exponential proportions. The 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and even parts of the 80s. At that time, city government was more interested, more focused on developing the city, bringing more neighborhoods, bringing more businesses, creating commercial centers. And we were not paying a lot of attention to the basics of our public works infrastructure, in this case, our streets. We were not properly maintaining our streets. And as a result, our street system aged with minimum or no maintenance at all. In 1998, the Bureau of Street Services adopted micropaver, a state-of-the-art elite pavement management system in the world. As a result, we analyzed in detail every single block of the 70,000 city blocks that we have in the city of LA. And for that, we have a pavement condition index. It was in 2005 when we released our first State of the Streets report. As a result of the State of the Streets, both the mayor and this city council decided to increase the allocation, the budget allocation that we were reserving for streets. In the old days, our average allocation was $50 million. We were only paving 50 miles per year. It was simply insufficient. Today, our budget allocation is approximately $100 million. But solid pavement management practices will tell us that $100 million is a good amount to maintain streets that are in good to fair condition. We cannot repair or reconstruct streets that are in poor or failed condition. Now, we're going to go to number 3 now. Yeah. We have a 60-year backlog of failed and near-failed streets. That is approximately 1/3 of our street network. In addition to the normal problems that we all relate to, the physical condition of failed streets cause significant challenges, including longer police, fire, and rescue response time to emergencies. It also produces an increased traffic congestion, longer commute times, and unsafe maneuvers by people driving on our streets. Typically, an LA motorist will pay an average of $750 a year in maintenance per car in LA. So if you have two vehicles in LA, typically households in LA pay $1,500 in repairs associated with the condition of the streets, which is, by the way, the highest in the nation. Bad streets also affect curb appeal and subsequently reduce the property value of our houses, of our neighborhoods. Bad streets create unsafe crosswalks for pedestrians and school children. And as we know very well, especially in the flat areas of the San Fernando Valley, streets in bad condition create stagnant water, standing water that increases the risk of West Nile virus. One of the other challenges that we're facing right now here in the city of LA is that the sources of funding for street repairs and maintenance are extremely constrained. We are seeing the constant declining of state funding from gas tax. In reality, ARA and Prop 1B funding are now exhausted. Bad streets do not promote economic development, and therefore job creation is tremendously affected. There are very few job training opportunities for unskilled labor and very limited chances of learning new skills. Furthermore, bad streets damage the image of the city. It makes us look like we are a city in decline. And in reality, when we send that message, we are not supporting urban development initiatives. There are also environmental threats and problems associated with bad roads. There's additional air pollution created from traffic congestion. There's a significant amount of material, especially asphalt and concrete, that is not being recycled and is going directly to landfills. And of course, forces the utilization of more natural resources by not reusing the old asphalt. The most recent state of the streets, which is the 2011 version, shows that 1/3 of the street system, approximately 31%, are in what we consider fail or near fail condition. 2/3 are either good, satisfactory, or fair. The reality is that 31% is the most expensive type of repair that you can perform on any pavement. That 31% that you saw on the prior slide, can you go to the next slide, please? Basically can be subdivided this way. There are approximately 58,000 lane miles of streets that require reconstruction, streets that totally failed in LA, and there are approximately 29,000 lane miles of streets that are about to fail, for a total of 8,700 lane miles. Just so you get an idea, we have in LA 8,700 lane miles of streets that are fail or about to fail. That's 3 times the size of the entire network of the city of Oakland. We have 3 times, our failed streets is 3 times bigger in terms of miles than the city of Oakland. Now, why do we need to reconstruct our streets? Simply because when you have good streets, we provide faster 9/11 emergency response by police, by fire, and by paramedics. By having better streets, we improve the traffic flow. Investing in our street infrastructure creates, under this bond, the opportunity to create approximately 30,000 private sector jobs over the 10-year tenure of this program. And of course provides the opportunity to train the future labor of LA to become proficient in protecting and performing the work related to maintenance and construction. If we are to fix the failed streets and the D streets in LA, we will be saving $745 per year, because we won't have to spend $745 per year repairing our vehicles. We will have smooth roads for bicyclists, and we would have a quicker installation of bike lanes. We would have, of course, pedestrian safety, improved pedestrian safety, and subsequently, we would increase our curb appeal in our neighborhoods. Subsequently, property value will increase. There are, in addition to the benefits that I just mentioned, there are environmental benefits as well. If we move forward with this proposed bond, we would be recycling 100% of the old asphalt removed from the street. We will reduce travel times for commerce, motorists, and public transit riders. We will improve the business climate, and we will support urban development and job creation. We will upgrade our image in LA. We will be a business-friendly city. Our image will be very, very attractive along commercial corridors. We will reduce health issues such as the threats of the West Nile virus. And of course, we will take this opportunity to integrate new technologies, new green street measures and technologies. This slide right here shows the typical behavior of a street in LA. Just picture any street in LA. The streets in LA do not deteriorate in a linear fashion. No. This is the way that streets deteriorate. It takes a while before you see a significant amount of deterioration, typically between 10 and 15 years. And this is why it is so critical that we provide preventive maintenance on the streets so we can extend the serviceable life of streets. That's precisely what the Bureau of Street Services is doing right now with the current level of funding. We are protecting streets that are in A, B, and C condition, because the level of funding that we have must be utilized to save our street network. Once you go to the reconstruct layer, streets can be up to 40 times, repairs can be up to 40 times more expensive than if you perform the repairs on the green areas. If you see the next slide, pretty much it shows you a comparison of time versus cost. During the first 40% of the life expectancy of a street, this is where we need to invest the money to maintain the conditions of the street. And this is where our predecessors in the past committed the mistake, that we did not invest enough money in preserving streets. What happened is that 1/3 of the street network followed into the category where the streets, the repairs, cost approximately 40 times more than performing maintenance. And this is the reason why at this point we are proposing this bond to address approximately 8,100 lane miles of streets there are in the categories D and F. Next slide, please. What you have right here is a historical overview of what we've done in terms of reconstruction. Solid pavement management practices will tell you that we should not invest in reconstructing streets unless we have enough funding to improve the overall pavement condition of the network. The reality is the current level of funding only allows the city of LA to maintain streets in good, excellent, and fair condition in those conditions. So very little of our annual budget goes to reconstruct that we are going to perform. Every year for 10 years, we will reconstruct approximately 900 lane miles of streets. At the end of 10 years, we will not have any streets in the city of LA in D condition or in F condition. The majority of the streets in LA will have an A condition or a B condition. That is one of the reasons why we are proposing this bond. In addition to improving the quality of life of the Angelenos, this bond will eliminate the 60-year backlog of F and D streets. We are asking to partner with the property owners, because this is the only way to solve this big challenge that we have. We need 10 years to accomplish this work. There is no way that if this money was available right now, that we could accomplish this work in less than 10 years. So we are basically trying to partner with property owners through a bond to finance a 10-year work program to fix all streets currently in a D or F grade. This will vastly improve the overall condition of the street network in LA. Needless to say, during the life of the 10-year bond, the city will continue preserving all the other streets in A, B, and C condition. So this will be a joint effort. We will maintain streets in A, B, and C condition, in those conditions, and we will utilize the bond to address, reconstruct streets that are failed and streets that we simply cannot afford to reconstruct with the current level of funding. At the end of 10 years, no streets will be in a failed or near failed condition. The overall condition of the street network will be A and B. Now, this is not anything new. Other cities in the nation have used bonds to pay for street reconstruction. The cities of New York, Chicago, most recently the city of San Francisco in 2011 approved a similar bond. The cities of Austin, Texas, Seattle, Houston, Minneapolis, and many other cities in the United States use a general obligation bond to fix their streets. One of the typical questions that we hear is, how are we going to prioritize streets? Well, I mentioned before that the Bureau of Street Services utilizes the most sophisticated pavement management system in the world, which is called micropaver. The Bureau of Street Services inspects the condition of every LA street in a 3-year cycle using specialized equipment and high-definition vans that capture images of the surface of the stresses of the streets. These images are analyzed by specialized staff and are categorized by micropaver, and this is the way we grade streets, A through F. A being good, B being satisfactory, C being fair, D being poor, and F being failed. Maintenance and rehabilitation activities are prioritized by micropaver. Based on the level of funding, micropaver makes a recommendation to maximize the funding that we are receiving. And that's why currently micropaver is recommending that with $100 million that we receive per year, we focus our attention in maintaining streets that are in A, B, and C condition. At the end of the 10-year program of the proposed 10-year bond, we will not have any streets in D or failed condition. Transparency, fairness, and accountability are variables that are extremely important to all of us, especially to the residents of the city of Los Angeles. Streets that are funded through this bond will be selected using objective recommendations from micropaver. We are putting together maps for each neighborhood council that will depict the streets that will be addressed using this bond and the progress of this bond. There will be a citizen oversight committee that will regularly advise this council on program implementation. These bond funds will not be used for any other city or state purpose. And these bonds will be deposited into a special street repair trust fund, will be independently audited annually.
Natalie Brill with the City Administrative Officer. The general obligation bond that's being recommended by the department would be paid through the assessed value of real property, and the timing of the bond issues would be done based on the program presented by the department for a total of $3 billion over a 10-year period. The bond would be issued $300 million over the 10-year period, with the average annual payment over the life of the bonds being about $34 a year. This is equivalent to the average monthly payment of $2.89 a month. The bond issue would be over the property owners would be assessed over a 29-year period.
Summarizing, all of us, we inherited a street network that deteriorated with very little or no maintenance. I think this is a great opportunity to change the face of LA, to invite the growth of LA, to incite economic development, to bring job creation, and more than anything, to improve the quality of life of Angelenos. So we're asking this honorable council to approve this bond request and to forward our request to the city attorney to prepare the resolutions placing this measure on the May 21st, 2003 ballot. Now we're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Nazario. Okay, before we